And then here's our agenda for the night. Okay. All right, now moving forward, back to real time. Okay, so why use the tools at all? Well, I feel like the best reason for using these tools, it helps you get organized. It can help you deal with newsletters you want to send out, if you're organizing for a phone bank, and it really helps you kind of keep track of who's volunteering for certain kinds of things because you can tag people certain ways. And so it's a good way to grow your group and keep track of what your group's doing. I just kind of alluded to this a second ago, and it's a really powerful van, especially can help you engage with voters, whether you're making phone calls or doing like a live canvas, like you're out pounding the pavement. That's a good reason to use the tools. And as a lot of us are thinking ahead, we want to prepare for the work, the electoral work we're going to all probably be doing in 2024. So those are some just initial thoughts that I have about why to use the tools. I think when you hear from Bobby and Luke, you'll hear how that's kind of applicable and how that really works. So before I go any further, I'd like to know what you all are hoping that the tools can do for you. Like maybe you kind of have an idea, but you're also like, I'm not really sure. So if you could just in the chat, let us know some of the things that you might be using the tools for in the future, the near future. I'll just give you a second there to type that in the chat. What might you use the tools for? How can they help you? Okay, so some people are not super sure. Some people are like, yeah, we could use it for event signups. Oh yeah, Mobilize would be really great for that. Connecting with your groups further. I mean, maybe you already are, but this is a way to continue that. Organize to potential voters. Yeah, canvassing. I see people wanting to do that. I see people writing about using it for newsletters. And yeah, just it's a really great, these are all great tools for organizing in all different kinds of ways. And you'll hear in a second exactly how those tools can do that. All right, so let me move to the next slide. Okay, so these are the 4 tools that we are going to hear more about: Every Action, Mobilize, Van, and Empower. Luke's going to go over the first 2, and Bobby's going to go over the second 2. So Luke, when you're done with Every Action and Mobilize, just pass it right on to Bobby. And if I'm a little slow on moving the slides for either one of you, just tell me next slide, please, and I will jump into action and move to the next slide. All right, Luke, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, sounds good. Great to meet all of y'all, or if we've met already, good to see you again. I do want to let you know I'm using 2 screens right now, and for whatever reason, one of my cameras is malfunctioning. So I'm gonna have to go back and forth, but I am, imagine most of the time I'm talking to you. But yeah, so it's funny, Every Action might not be quite as famous as Van, and in many ways is probably like it's less, well, perhaps you have like in your own family, more successful, more well-known brother or sister or something. That's kind of the Van EA dynamic. But really, Every Action is just a great, simple, not always super user-friendly, but is something that can be learned if you put the time in. It is a CRM, customer or consumer relationship manager. And it's really the best and most comprehensive way to develop and grow your local group into becoming just a bigger group. And it's a way to communicate with your members, and it's a way to keep contact information and document events and pretty much everything that you might need as a local group can and probably should live in Every Action for most local groups. We often have folks from local groups come to us who are using other CRMs like Action Network or insert, CRM here. And they'll say, well, we're really looking for something that can do X, Y, and Z. And Every Action can do X, Y, Z, and all the other letters of the alphabet. you'll never run out of things that every action can do. And it's really about tailoring every action to your specific local group's needs. And that's what we try to do with the tech tools team. So a lot of organizations across the political sector use every action to optimize their organizing efforts, make them more efficient and effective, keeps contact records, create and curate lists, keep in touch with your members through phone banks and emails, newsletters. Most people, including most local groups and our organizers, use it to send out their newsletters to their members. And it's also a way to gauge, your local group's activity. You can tell if someone is responding to your content, or responding to your newsletters, or is coming to your events. So yeah, every action is great. I see a lot of chats, and I assume, Lori, we're answering these later, right? I assume.
I'm answering some of them now, and we're
Okay.
grabbing them for later. So yeah, just so everybody knows that if we don't answer your question right away, we're grabbing those questions and we'll save them for the Q&A section. Thanks.
Okay, cool. I see Susan's, can EA replace MailChimp for newsletters? Yes, it can. Linda, so the question is how the CRM is making organizing more effective and efficient. And really, to answer that question, you have to go to it's more of a comparative thing. So it's like, if you're moving from Google Sheets to every action, if you wanted to pull a list of all the folks who are interested in climate change on Google Sheets, you'd have to do a filter. You'd have to be manually doing that. Is say you wanted to create a list of groups who are interested in climate change within your local group for a climate focused activism action that you were planning. It would just be more difficult to do than in every action. You could do it pretty quickly. So it's just I would say it's a level up. And if your group is ready to level up, I would say every action is probably the way you should go. Oh, I see Karen. I signed up for every action, but I haven't heard anything. I'll follow up with you on that. There is another tool called Action Kit. Sorry, I'm being distracted by the chat, but every action is great. I would love to discuss. Generally, the process for getting every action through Indivisible National is you'll apply and sign up. We will process your application. Assuming you are a known Indivisible, a local group in our network, you'll get access. And then we will send out a lot of training materials that we have and a lot of resources. And then I hope to I schedule a one-on-one with the group leader who applied, and hopefully whoever is going to be managing the Every Action account. Sometimes that's the group leader, sometimes that's a different volunteer. And we do a training one-on-one. I don't want to minimize how robust Every Action is. A lot of people are initially very intimidated because it's not the most intuitive program, but it is definitely learnable. We've got well over 130 local groups who use it, and a lot of them use it very effectively. And I think we're hopefully going to hear from one of those local groups tonight. But I think we're going to get back to the questions in a bit, and I think we're probably good to move on to Mobilize, Lori. Oh, wait, no, we're not. Yeah, this is just more about Every Action. And please, y'all request access, start exploring Every Action on your own. I'm happy to have, and I would encourage you to have exploratory meetings with me where we can walk through Every Action together and see if it's a good fit. It's not a perfect fit for every group. If you only have, let's say, 10 active members and you're doing meetings maybe once every 3 months, that's 10 members isn't necessarily something that you need Every Action to manage. But if you're to the point where you're having meetings every month and you're also doing different actions, different activism things, say you're also boosting local campaigns and your members are just doing a variety of different things, and it's growing to the point where you feel like you need to kind of get a grip on everything that's happening, Every Action is a good solution for that. And I guess with that, we'll move on to Mobilize. Speaking of events. What a good segue. So Mobilize, on the other hand, is strictly a volunteer and event management platform. I do really want to emphasize that Mobilize is thank you, Nancy. Awesome segue. Mobilize is much more user-friendly than Every Action. I think that's fair to say. And so a lot of folks want to use Mobilize as a CRM. A lot of folks who have both or who initially see Mobilize after using Every Action are like, they'll say, oh my God, can we just use Mobilize? Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, you cannot use Mobilize as your CRM, but it is a fantastic volunteer and event management platform that does sync up to Every Action and Van. So if you have both, instead of using Every Action's event management like internal tool, which it does have, which Every Action does have, you can use Mobilize's instead. It's easy. The website is very intuitive. And it allows you to create more than just events. You can have petitions, pledges, you can do online actions, and it does it like pretty, in a pretty user-friendly way. Like we've had folks who have struggled with other tools really pick up Mobilize very quickly and learn how to, like, it'll have cool online actions that you can make. It'll be like email your senators about this specific bill, stuff like that. And you can, another big draw for Mobilize is that it's kind of a hub for progressive organizing. So people have called it like the Facebook of progressive organizing or whatever that's worth. And it is true. Like a lot of folks who are looking to find an event to volunteer at in their local area will just go to the homepage and Mobilize. And if your local group is on there, you know, your events are going to come up. So, and then you can also, you can boost local campaign events. You can boost other organizations' events by promoting them, and other organizations can do that to you. And that's also what Indivisible National does for our local groups. We promote their events and their whole pages. So a lot of folks, like Randy said, he found this event on Mobilize. There you go. Yeah, so help recruit new members and volunteers, allows you to send automated reminders. That's a big thing that a lot of people like is, you know, if you're doing say you're not even using a tool, or say you're using like Google Sheets and you've got, or Google Forms or something, and you got 20 people sign up for an event, you're going to have to stay in touch with those people to remind them, to give them the details, etc. Mobilize does all that for you. It'll text people if they put in their phone number, it'll email them, and then it'll also ask for feedback on the back end after the event. And a lot of people, I find that especially helpful, like to give not just quantitative feedback, but also qualitative, because it'll say like, you know, 1 out of 5 stars, how was this event? But it'll also prompt for like you know, any added feedback. And a lot of those can be like really encouraging. Like if you had a door knocking event and say you didn't get to debrief with everyone fully, but someone put in there that they changed someone's mind about something, you know. Yeah, allows Indivisible National to promote your event. Lori, I think we're good to go to the next slide. I'm sure I missed some questions, but we'll get to them.
That's okay. I just wanted to, I wanted to lift up that topic of Indivisible National promoting your event. So, you know, we have our map. So if you register something on Mobilize your event, you put your event there, it will end up on our map. So that's how people can find your stuff too. So I also want to go back, once you finish the Mobilize thing, we skipped a slide in Every Action, Luke, and someone asked if we could go back. So I'm going to do that once you finish Mobilize. Okay.
Yes. So all of this is true as well. Was this the slide that we skipped?
No.
Oh,
The slide we skipped.
this is the next slide.
Still Mobilize. Yeah, this is still Mobilize. And maybe you already mentioned, let's see.
Yeah, you
We
can
pretty much covered this, which is good. And then you have this Mobilize slide about the dashboard.
That's a big
You have
thing.
other events on your dashboard too.
I do want to emphasize this, like, the fact that you can integrate the two tools, or that even if you don't use if you decide, okay, I've got 20 members, every action is not a good fit. Mobilize is a good fit for your group, no matter the size of your group. We just had a group have their first meeting, and they have 6 members, and they use Mobilize for their first event. It just simplifies it. It keeps the records. You can export data if you need it, like a report of every event, or you can get a report of every sign up. You can get a report of how people signed up. So how did they find this event? Did it get texted to them? Did it get emailed to them? And then promoting other events onto your dashboard that are relevant to your constituency, to your members. I think that's a big value add as well. So yeah, obviously I'm a big fan of Mobilize. I'm very biased, but it seems like a lot of our groups of all sizes really get a lot then value out of it. And then I guess we can go to the one that I skipped now.
Let's see.
And then Laura, if you want to keep an event private, you can definitely do that. It's just it's like an option when you're creating the event.
Okay, I went back to this slide because we skipped it because you had me go onto the Mobilize slide. So somebody
Sorry.
wanted to hear about the reports and how you can use every action to do reporting.
Yeah, every action has a function, or it has an entire page called Report Manager. And you can really tailor that to whatever you're looking for. So if you want to know how your membership is, you know, how it has grown, or like its size over certain dates, or if you wanted to know how many of your members are clicking the links in your emails over a given amount of time, or over the course of however many emails. If you wanted to know, it depends on it also, what types of reports you can run depend on what kind of data on your membership that you have. So like, for instance, if you have gender or whatever data, you can see like, okay, how many men opened my email over the past month, or if you're doing a phone bank, it's really limitless. Whatever data you have, you can run reports on. And it's really, as you all know, it's pretty imperative as you manage a group of people that you keep contact information up to date. Every action, it enables you to do that in a pretty seamless way. And then keeping historical records is really helpful. Everybody has every contact and every action has a unique profile. And you can just pull everything on a given contact. So yeah, it's really helpful. Also, as I said, very biased, but I think every action is generally a good fit for most groups that are kind of in that. If you're somewhat established, if you've been around, or if you're growing quickly, and you feel like you're ready to level up, every action is a pretty good solution for groups that fit that description.
Okay, there are a ton of questions here, Luke, a lot of good ones. So are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I
think I'm ready.
Okay, so we're going to pause for like 5 minutes right now to get to hopefully most of these questions. I'm going to try to lump some of them together because some of them are kind of related.
Okay.
The first question is about every action and how how Mobilize information gets promoted to the map. So, and is it vice versa? So if stuff is on the map, will it be in Mobilize?
No, if something is on the map, that does not necessarily mean it's on Mobilize. Mobilize syncs to our map, as in like capital M, capital A, capital P on the indivisible.org website. But stuff that you put directly onto the map does not necessarily go onto Mobilize. So that's why I always encourage folks to post something on Mobilize first. Like if you use Mobilize every action and you would like your event onto the map, you only have to post it in one place, and that would be Mobilize, for it to get to all 3 places, if that makes sense. Whereas if you post it on the map, that's only going to the map. And then if you post it on every action, that's only going to every action. So if that makes sense.
Okay. Yes, thank you. That's a good explanation. And Bobby, I'm not paying attention to the chat anymore, so if anything else comes up while I'm asking Luke questions, please, can you grab them? I chew gum and walk at the same time pretty well, but not that well. Okay, so let's switch over to every action for a second. So, or either one, how big of a group do you need to have to use these tools to be useful?
Like I said with Mobilize, I think it's useful for a group of almost any size. I can't think of really a situation where Mobilize wouldn't be useful. Like I would, even if I was planning, even if I wasn't like an Indivisible group or a political, if I was planning a birthday party, like Mobilize, you know what I mean? Like Mobilize is just a good event management tool. Every action, on the other hand, yeah, I don't want to minimize the amount of work that it takes to really really utilize every action. It's not nothing. Like you are gonna have to spend some time to learn it. You're probably gonna have to dedicate like a tech savvy volunteer within your group to manage your committee in every action. Um I would say if you're kind of in that like 20 to 30 consistent and quality group member range, and you're looking to grow and you're trying to take advantage of the off year to grow, I would say every action is probably a good fit. But I also don't want to, if it's not a good fit, that's not necessary. That doesn't mean that's not a negative thing. It just means it wasn't a good fit, right? Because we do have groups who end up who think that it could be a good fit. They apply, they go through these, and then they decide, or they just stop using it because they're not getting the value out of them, out of it. So probably I would say 20 to 30 to answer the actual question.
Okay, so here's two questions about events. And can you make reoccurring events? And how do you keep an event private? That would probably be mobilized. Like, how do you do either one of those?
Yeah, you can make recurring events either on Mobilize or Every Action. Every Action does have an event management platform. I'm going to speak specifically to, so if you use both tools, it would be redundant to use Every Action's event management tool. And you would just use Mobilize because it syncs over to Every Action. So the question is, can you use recurring events? Yeah. And if, especially for like monthly meetings, I would encourage it for sure. And the other question was,
Private events.
oh, private. Yeah. You can make private events. A lot of folks, especially in like the deep South or in other parts of difficult areas of the country, especially initially, will want their events to be private. And Mobilize makes that pretty simple to do. I think it's just like you just click a button.
Okay, thank you. So we are running a little short on time, so I'm going to throw you one more question, and then I'm sorry we couldn't get to all of them, but I'm saving them for the end, and hopefully we'll have time then. A few people asked, what does CRM stand for? And could you explain how Every Action is a CRM? Those were kind of two or three questions lumped together there.
Yeah, CRM just means like, someone put the actual definition. Thank you, Cynthia. Consumer relationship manager. It just means like, yeah, I can't, I'm trying to think of a better way to define it or articulate. Like it's a program or a tool that keeps profiles on contacts. In this case, your contacts are not consumers. Your contacts are members of your local group. And in this case, Every Action also has ways to communicate with these contacts built into the tool. We even have groups. We had a group that has contracted with a peer-to-peer texting company, and they've integrated that with Every Action. So they can just, whenever they want, they can send a text message to their 100 or so local group members to let them know about the next meeting through Every Action. So it's pretty, yeah, that's That wasn't a great definition, I guess, but that's the only
Okay.
way I know how to articulate it.
That's good. It gives people some context.
Yeah.
Two quick questions that I'm going to just answer really quickly. We are going to show you towards the end here how to sign up for all of these tools. So we'll leave the sign up part for the end. And when we've been talking about the map, we're really just talking about a map. So on our website, to get involved, you just click on a map and you can see like the whole country. You can zoom in by zip code, by group name, and find different events that are happening across the country. That's what we mean by it's truly just a map. Yeah, nothing, it doesn't stand for anything very interesting, just map. Okay, so Bobby, I'm going to turn it over to you now to do your section. Here we go. Thanks, Luke.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be here with you tonight. I'm going to jump right into it since we are running a little short on time. But I did want to say, as I was monitoring the waiting room and the chats, for those just joining us, we have had a few join us in the last few minutes. We're recording this whole session for those of you who showed up a little late. You'll have the entire recording to watch once we send it out, and we are getting all the questions from the chat. So we can answer them post-call if we're not able to answer them during the call. So moving on, thank you all for joining us. So I'll be talking to you today about Van and also our newest tool, Empower, which is a relational organizing app. We partnered with the Empower project to bring this to you. So we're very excited about that. But first, we're going to jump into Van. So VAN, which stands for Voter Activation Network, is the nationwide voter contact tool. It's used by everyone from nonprofits like Indivisible to the Democratic Party at the state, local, and national level, to progressive candidates and campaigns across the country. It was founded in 1997, and for most of that time, it has been providing direct voter contact tools and lists to these entities to help them engage voters and get them to the polls come election time. So it's been around for quite a while. And it's been very effective. And obviously, that's the reason why we're bringing it to you all here through Indivisible. Next slide, please. So with Indivisible's use of VAN, you can phone bank voters using OpenVPB, which stands for Open Virtual Phone Bank. You'll be able to canvass door to door to talk to voters face to face using the Minivan app. You can also use the Minivan app to perform silent lit drops. So if the strategy is not to necessarily talk to voters, but leave information for them to use at a later date, you can also do silent lit drops. And both of those can be done using the Minivan app, which is the phone-based version of Van. And you can also request admin access to start exploring the Van tool on your own. One small note, the Van admin access does require training before getting access to the system. So there is a training series that you can go through. It's all recorded and you can hold on to those videos forever and always. So you can always refer back to them for refreshers. But you can also, as I said, sign up for admin access and start playing with the tool yourself to get a feel for how to use it. Fun little note for those who may have some experience with both Every Action and Van. They have very similar user interfaces, and in fact, they look almost identical except for maybe the background color. They use a lot of the same processes to pull their results. Of course, they're just pulling for two different things. Van pulls for voters, Every Action pulls for group members. So good to keep that in mind if you're considering using Van and have only ever used Every Action. It's a great way to think about it. But yeah, you can also request admin access for Van as well. So the good thing about all of our Van tools is they are completely digital. There is no more data entry, no more having to take clipboards with you while you are canvassing door to door, no more having to mark down on sheets of paper while you're on the phone with voters talking to them. Everything is done in the system. All you have to do is click a few buttons, you're done with that voter and you can move on to the next. So the data syncs in Van in real time. And data for open VPBs is available as soon as the last phone call is completed. And that last phone banker logs out. So as soon as you're done, we're able to pull the numbers for you and let you know how many calls you made, how many voters you contacted, how many conversations you had, all that good stuff. With Minivan canvassing, whether it's door-to-door knocking or silent lit drop, it is a little different. In those situations, the canvasser just simply has to make sure that they're syncing their data every few doors, and then one last time at the end of their canvas shift. And then once all of the canvassers have synced their data, we can go in, commit the data to the system. And then once it's committed, we're able to, again, pull that data instantly to let you know how many doors you knocked, how many voters you engaged, all that good stuff. So the best thing about Van is that everything's digital, no more paper, and everything is done as you go. Another great thing about all of our tools that we've been talking about today is we have a wealth of really great resources to help you get the most out of the tools. But specifically for Van, we do have a step-by-step for creating an action ID and logging in, and you'll also use your action ID for logging into every action. We have a complete Van Open VPP toolkit that includes a step-by-step guide for making your very first call using Open VPP. And then we also have on the next slide, we also have a complete minivan canvassing toolkit, which also includes that step-by-step guide for knocking your first door using the minivan app, and of course, how to download it on your, excuse me, on your phone to start using it as a mobile app. We also have frequently asked questions docs and a whole bunch of other resources available for the tools. And we're actually going to show you where to find those on the new support webpage on the Indivisible website. So that'll be coming up in just a few minutes. But next, we are going to talk about Empower. So I'm very excited. You all are the first to hear that we are officially announcing Empower as a new tool for groups to use across the country. Empower is a relational organizing app. It puts the power of relationships at the heart of organizing. So this is another free tool that you'll be able to use. It's a phone-based app. And we're working directly with the Empower project to offer this to groups, to indivisible groups across the country. This tool works by using your own personal contacts that are in your phone. So those people that are closest to you, so you can start organizing them around what matters to you and your group. So if you have those family members or friends that maybe haven't been a part of your group or have only ever engaged with you all in your group sporadically, or maybe just need that extra push to get started, the Empower app helps you use relational organizing methods to bring those people in, become part of your group, or at least become more engaged as a voter in your community. So we're really excited to offer this new tool. And on the next couple slides, we're going to go through a little bit more of what Empower has to offer. So with Empower, you are going to get free group focused training every step of the way directly from one of our Empower contacts. So Empower has a bunch of trainers who are ready to go to work with groups across the country from different organizations and different nonprofits. We have a couple that are assigned just to Indivisible. So they are going to be giving you all focused one-on-one training on how, not only how to use the app to perform your relational organizing, but also how to plan out your program that you would like to do through the tool. All Indivisible groups will work with our Empower coaching specialists from their team. They're going to help build a relationship with you and your group so they can learn everything it is that you want to do with the app. If you've never used relational organizing tools or methods, they're there to train you from the very beginning. So no worries about that. They're there every step of the way with you. And like I said, yeah, you're not alone. Empower is here to help. So they are going to help you meet your goals in relation to relational organizing. They're going to help you plan your program from start to finish and help walk you through how to accomplish it and achieve your goals. They'll hold regular one-on-one coaching sessions and guidance sessions with you. They'll go over best practices, how to get started, and of course, like I said, help you write your organizing plan as you go along. So yeah, those are our voter engagement tools that we want to talk about today. I'm going to turn it over to one of our wonderful group leaders, Nancy Latham. She uses all of these tools and was one of the lead pilot group leaders for Empower. So I'm very excited to have her talking about all the tools we've been chatting with you about today. So I'm going to turn it over to Nancy.
Thanks, Bobby. And I just want to say that I was, Indivisible reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to be a cheerleader for these tools? I was like, sign me up, because I love love all of them. And also just want to say one thing, I think that it's a gift, both literally and figuratively, that Indivisible National makes these available to groups. So take advantage of all that you can. And I have used all 4, but not Van from the admin end in a long time. So I'm going to talk about 3. So I'm talking about EA, Mobilize, and Empower. And I'll tell you what I love about them. And for EA and Empower, I'll give you some quick tips. EA, like Luke said, it has a ton of functionality. You can do basically anything you want it to except cook you dinner. And it can be a bit overwhelming for that reason. So I personally use it just for sending out emails, like newsletter emails to my group. And so I advise that if you decide you want to use it, like pick a couple things that you want it to do, maybe even specialize in just those 1 or 2, and then build your repertoire over time for what it can do for your group. But it can do tons. There's one thing that I love about it, but don't personally know how to set up. Luckily, somebody else in my group does this, but we can make open VPBs from inside of EA, and I've used them to call people who have, we select a universe, like people who have come to an event in the past year, something like that, and call them, run through them with a script and try to re-engage them. So it's really, really great for that as well. And yeah, it's great. And I think it's good to focus on just 1 or 2 things that you want it to do and build up your skills gradually. Mobilize is, just like Luke says, easy as pie. So that's why people really love it. I was so relieved when Indivisible offered it, because setting up, for me personally, setting up events in EA was a real drag. So, and I had used Mobilize for a lot of other groups. You know, you just like, you can do it. You can learn it in seconds. It's very intuitive. It links, it already shows up in EA and shows up, like Luke was saying, on the Indivisible map. So you don't have to enter it twice to get it on the map. And then it gets promoted. And I've had people come to events because Indivisible National promoted it. It also, like Luke said, can do other things. I mainly use it for events, but it does have like anytime actions, making pledges, signing petitions, but I've used it for an anytime action. So I wanted to get people who lived in a certain district to call their California representative, their California assembly person. And so I made an anytime action where if they click on a button, then it just like dials the phone number. They click on it and they can use their phone app to dial the phone number, and they have a script right there. And that was really fun and handy, and sort of expanded our ideas of what we could do with Mobilize. And okay, so for Empower, I was absolutely gobsmacked to find out that there was an Empower pilot with Indivisible. When was that, Bobby? I'm losing track of time, but it was before the last election. And I had in my head a relational organizing program to get people to reach out to the youth in their life, to get them registered to vote and turn them out to vote. Side note, my theory of change was bad. It didn't work very well, but I used Empower and it was an absolute dream. It did 95% of the things that I had in my head for it to do. I worked with an Empower TA who was just the bomb, and she was available all the time for me and walked me through everything. I even had feedback for the engineering team, and they made changes to the app because of what I was asking for. It was absolutely incredible. And I think it would be very easy and fun and user-friendly to use it for your groups to just reach out to more people. And even if you wanted to have like snowflake teams, so you have like people who are sort of more core leaders in your team, like reach out to 5 people and do one-on-ones with them periodically and keep them engaged. Empower would be a great tool to use that for. But you can use it for lots more stuff. And so my big tip on Empower, well, I don't know, this contradicts some of the stuff that Bobby said, but Bobby is entirely right that you will have amazing coaches who will walk you through everything. You don't need to know it. You don't need to have like a really strong sense of what it does before you get there. But my experience was that it was very helpful for me to have a really strong idea of what I wanted There were some other people in the pilot who had less of a strong idea. They're just learning about it and it sort of never clicked. But if you say like, I know that I want people in my group to use this to develop relationships and build strong snowflake relationships with other people in the group, I mean, that's basically all you need, and the coaches can walk you through how to do that. So that is my tip for About Empower. I don't think it's necessary to succeed, but it will be helpful. And that's it. And also I not only want to shout out my Empower coach, but Bobby and Luke are always available for support, and that makes it even better. They give these tools and they will support you on them. I get on the bat phone to Luke and I say, hey, I need a training video for X, and he just sends it to me. And or people will also get on the phone or Zoom and talk. So all of this is great. I saw amazing questions in the chat. So it seems like there are a lot of eager potential users. And yeah, I guess that's it. I just wanted to, again, put my vote in for using 1 to 4 of the tools shared here.
Thanks, Nancy. Before I let you go, totally, I mean, I hope you'll stay for the rest, but one question, could you explain what you mean by snowflake model? We had a question.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, the snowflake model, I don't think it started with the Obama campaign, but the Obama campaign made it famous. And this is a model. The reason I call it a snowflake is if you make it into a picture, it looks like a snowflake. So instead of having just like 2 group leaders and it's their responsibility to build up relationships with 50 people in the group, which is a lot, or 100 people, you can have small team organizing models where you get a couple of people, they reach out to maybe 4 or 5 and develop relationships with those people. Some of them you might pull up the ladder of engagement, and then some of those people who are your snowflake, I don't know what you call them, but like out in the snowflake pointy parts, they might then develop their own relationship with 4 or 5 more people. So they make their own snowflake. And it's a really good relational organizing way to grow, not only grow your groups, but tighten up the relationships in your group, and also, build strong, trusting relationships so you stay together in the long haul.
Yeah, it's just a newer version than what we're all kind of used to with the hierarchy, where there's 2 people at the top, and then you have all the people underneath. And always the people at the top are doing all the work. This way, with the snowflake model, you've got a few core people, but a lot of people on the outside of each snowflake who are doing a lot of the work too. So you've really got a strong team doing all kinds of things. That's kind of how I see it. And so thank you for asking the question, whoever did. And now we've got that in our brains too. All right, so I'm going to move us along here to having Bobby show you a quick tour. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. He's going to share his screen and show you on our new group support hub where you can find all the things we've been talking about. Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, hey, thank you, everyone. Nancy, while I go to my page, I would love for you, if you could maybe share, there was a question in the chat about what's the difference between Empower and EA. And as someone who's used both very extensively, I was wondering if maybe you could address why you think Empower is great to use for the relational organizing methods while I pull up the website. Oh, Nancy, can you hear me still? Oh, are you there?
Now I got permission to unmute.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so Empower, it's more than just storing contacts. If I don't know how many people on this Zoom have used other relational organizing apps. They've been around, like Reach, if you happen to use Reach for some of the campaigns in 2020, or the Vote Joe app, those are relational organizing apps. So they specifically are, okay, there's 2 sides of them. They're the people who build the relational organizing app and set it up for the rest of the world. But then if you have your members download it on their phone, they can actually have Empower speak to their contacts. You don't have to do that, but you can, or you put in contacts, and then there are little actions to take that the Empower organizer or admin asks for you to do. So you could ask people like, invite people to an event. So then if you are an Empower user, you will go to your 4, 5, 10 contacts and say, hey, there's a canvassing event coming up this Saturday. Can you please come? And so this is a way to take little actions inside of Empower, and then you have a record. Like, let's say I'm doing it with Lori, and I know like she came to an event, and then I had a one-on-one with her, and I could put my notes in about the one-on-one. And so you can track your actions with the people that you are doing relational organizing with. And then one of the things that you can ask people to do, like they come to an event, you have a one-on-one with them, they come to an all-member meeting for your Indivisible group. Well, then you can ask them to download the Empower app on their phone, and then they can start reaching out to their friends and asking their friends to come to a membership meeting. So it's there's some sort of similarities with managing contacts, because you do manage contacts, but all of the ways that it's set up are specifically set up so that you can do outreach and ask people to get involved, and then keep track of your conversations with them and what they do. I hope that helps.
That was great. Thank you so much. That was perfect. So hopefully that answered some of the questions that everyone had about Empower. I know we don't have a lot of time to talk about it, but please feel free to email me. If you do have more questions about Empower, I can connect you with our, I can have you fill out our form, which is live now, which we're going to show in a few minutes. And you can be put in contact with our Empower representative, Maite, and she will walk you through exactly what the tool does. For those that may not be familiar with relational organizing, before I go through our website tour, relational organizing is just a way of thinking about organizing via a method that is more personal and less of the cold calling or cold knocking that we do traditionally when it comes to, getting out the vote and talking to voters. This is you talking to people you know and being a trusted messenger with people you've already built a relationship with, whereas some of these other tools that we're talking about involve more of the building the relationship. With Empower and with relational organizing methods, that relationship is already there. So the Empower app just allows you to cultivate that relationship and continue building it in the sense of bringing these people into either your group or what it is that you do on a regular basis, or if your goal is just to get them out to vote, then getting them to vote. So just a quick explanation on that. And now I'm going to share my screen and walk through our network support department hub. So we are very excited about this. For those that may not have seen it yet, we are very excited to share this. It just came out about, I would say, a month and a half ago. Lori, correct me if I'm wrong on that. And let me make this control panel disappear. So when you go to the indivisible.org website, at the top in the middle here, you'll see the group support hub. If you click on this, it'll take you to the group support hub section. And this is where you'll find everything that we offer groups, from virtual trainings and calls, financial support, all of that good stuff is right here on this page. All of the tools that we are talking about today, you can find here in this middle row, in the middle section under technology. So if you click on the technology section and scroll down, you'll notice that it has all 4 of the tools that we've been talking about tonight. So Mobilize, Van, Every Action, and Empower. So I'm going to use Van as an example to show you what it is we have on each tool's individual page. So we'll have a quick description of the tool itself for those who might need a refresher after this call. You'll also be able to sign up to start using the tool right away via this button. So if we click here, it brings you straight to the Van application form, which you can fill out here. And, excuse me. And then right below that, for each tool, we have a mini library of resources available that are correlated to that specific tool. So you can see here for Van, we have a Van Open VPD toolkit for when you're phone banking. We have a minivan canvassing toolkit for when you're using the minivan app on your phone and going door to door. We also have the Van application form. And here you'll also find the postcard program application form housed as well. So the good thing about this is, I believe it was Peter who is asking about scripts in the chat. For both Van and the postcard program, we've created these new script libraries where you can go to get a little inspiration to help you write your own scripts. We do still need to make sure that certain scripts are compliant with both state and federal laws. There are some states that have stricter compliance laws than the national norm. And so we do still need to check on some of them, but for the most part, all of these templates for scripts are pre-approved, meaning all you have to do is drop in the specifics about your group or your state or whatever election it is you're working on, and then you're pretty much good to go on using that script, and we can upload it for whatever use of Van you would like, for instance. So you can use these scripts here as inspiration, plug and play, and you're ready to go. So this is just a quick little taste of what is available through the website. And again, you can get to this through indivisible.org. Go down to, click on the group support hub, and then go scroll down to technology. And then you'll see all 4 of the tools that we have been talking about here tonight. And you can click on each one to learn more about it and what resources are available. And I think I am turning it back over to Lori.
Yes, you are. So I just posted twice in the chat the place that Bobby was specifically there on our new support hub, but I'll also include that in the follow-up email, as well as the slide deck that I'm sharing right now. Can I just get a thumbs up to make sure everybody's seeing the slide deck again? Yeah, great, thanks. And these are like clickable. So if you open the slide deck when you get the follow-up email, you can click on each one of them. Also, this is clickable here, the technology section, which takes you right to the place that Bobby was at. So we've thrown a lot of information at you all. It's going to take probably some iterations of like reading back through here, kind of deciding what you think you might want to do. But I also want to let you know that we're going to offer on June 1st and June 8th at these 2 times East Coast, an office hour. So these are Zoom virtual office hours. If Bobby or Luke could post that in the chat right now, the signups, but I'll also include it in the follow-up. Please come and ask your question again if we didn't get to it, or if after you read through everything, you still have some more questions, come to one of these office hours, sign up and come. And we're also going to, I'm going to just pass by Q&A just for a second, because I want to make sure I get this information to you as well. We have a summer series coming up with 5 more trainings. Monday, June 12th will be training on creating your accounts and logging into all of those accounts. I mean, all of those applications that Luke and Bobby just went over. Then throughout June and July, they haven't been put on the calendar yet, but they will be on the calendar the next few weeks. We're going to be offering those other topics as well. So there's plenty of other opportunities for you to come and learn more, get more solid on your experience and hopefully get you on your way. But if still you're like, wow, I need a little more personal help, you can actually sign up to meet with Bobby and Luke for like 15-minute blocks, or just email them and using this form, and they'll get back to you. So with 104 people on here, let's say half of you take advantage of all this. Just be patient with their time, because it's the 2 of them. They're pretty mighty and strong and super responsive, but it will take some time. Just wanted to lay the groundwork on that. With 2 minutes left, I am going to go back to some Q&A. I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen because I don't need to share any longer. And Bobby, I'm going to throw a couple questions at you. Someone wanted to know if they had an action ID earlier, if they need to re-register and create a new ID because they were with like a state party, like organization at some point.
No, that is the great thing about action IDs. Your action IDs are tied to you. They are not tied to the organizations you work with. So if you have an already existing action ID that you still have access to, you still know the password and all that good stuff, you can use the same action ID for multiple different organizations. You don't have to use it one per one. So you're good to go there as long as you know the password and can access it.
Okay, great. Thank you. In addition to phone banking, do we have a tool for text banking? I know the answer to this, but I want the expert to actually answer it.
Yes, we do have a text banking tool. It is not, it's not part of Van. It is a completely separate tool. It's called TextOut. With TextOut, it's a little different because of the restrictions around texting. That is a tool that we offer kind of what's the best way to put this? We come to you with text banking as opposed to you coming to us with requests for text banking, simply because that is a tool that does cost a little bit more for us to provide, and we have to make sure we follow all the compliance laws around it. So that tool is a little bit different. We do often have text banking parties throughout the year, even in quote unquote off years like this. We did the ones for SCOTUS a little while ago, or excuse me, for SCOIS in Wisconsin a little while ago. I think we just did a few for the default week of action last week, and we'll be doing others throughout the year for other actions and some of the other small elections that are coming up. So we will be providing text out for some other upcoming events and elections as well. And one question while I'm thinking about it, I know you have another one for me, Lori. Somebody asked if the tools that we're providing, talking about today are free. They are. They cost nothing to you all to use. So you do not have to worry about paying for anything. Indivisible pays for all of these tools up front for you all to use.
Great. And so we are at time, but I'm going to throw one more question at you, Bobby, just so we can try to get to as many as possible, because I saw this come through a few times. People were wondering about privacy, and when you make phone calls or you're using Van, are those stored on your phone, and will that data that's stored there, is that used somewhere else, and people are just concerned about privacy?
Gotcha. So when it comes to OpenVPB, you are using your phone to make the calls. So you will still see the numbers in your recent contacts list. So you'll still see it there, and unless you use, I think it's *69, I don't remember, whichever one it is that blocks your number. The voter will see your number, but rarely do they ever call back, if ever. So you will be able to see each other's numbers. But that is the extent of it. Everything else exists in Van. So you'll mark if they were not home. You'll mark if they said yes or no to a survey response question. So the data stays in Van, except for you can see each other's phone numbers. And then specifically to Empower, I answered this for one of the people who asked it in the chat, but you keep all of your data when it comes to Empower. They will even help you export it whenever you are ready to do so, if you would like to. But those are your personal contacts, so they stay with you. Empower staff, like our Empower contact, Maite, she can see who you upload into your app, but they do not do anything with the data. They do not hold on to it. They do not sell it. This is strictly for you to use the app in order to build those relational organizing relationships with your contacts.
Thank you. And I also just wanted to throw out there that if you don't want to use your own phone number, you can set up a Google Voice number, and that's actually pretty easy to do. If you just Google Voice, it'll walk you through the steps to do that. If you're not wanting to use your own phone number. Okay, so we are at 2 minutes after the hour, and I want to just respect everyone's time here at Indivisible and all of our awesome volunteers who came tonight. So thank you, and thanks to Nancy too for stepping in and sharing her experience with us. And I look forward to seeing if you want to come to one of our office hours or contact either Luke or Bobby with that form. All that information will be in the follow-up email. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.